Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of After the License, the podcast where we help real estate agents build their business. In today's episode, we're going to talk about some of the more advanced CRM features that are starting to become available in the real estate CRM world. But first, if you're listening on podcast, make sure you check out the YouTube channel. We've got YouTube specific videos and live streams that happen only on YouTube that aren't released on the podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can check us out basically anywhere you get podcasts. So in the most recent episode, we talked about the most basic features that you want to look for in a CRM, especially if you're just starting out, you're not super tech savvy, you just want something that's going to work for your business. That's what we talked about in the last episode. Now, the flip side, and what we're going to talk about today, are some of the more advanced features that are starting to get released in the CRM real estate follow-up market. So when you're looking at CRMs, just know that there are a ton of ones out there. We talked about this in previous episodes. There's literally thousands of CRMs out there. In the real estate space, there aren't thousands, but there's a ton to choose from. And some of these tech companies are really starting to build some really interesting options and things and CRM features that you just wouldn't think about. But I want to talk a little bit about them today so that you know that they're out there, and you might want to look for those if you're really tech savvy, or if you're looking to generate a high number of like internet leads or Facebook leads. Some of these tools become especially beneficial if you're going to kind of do some of that stuff at a really high level. So the first thing I want to talk about is some of these CRMs actually have websites built in. That's not always a new thing, but it's something I like to talk about because when we think about a CRM, you don't really think about a website, but there are some of these all-encompassing tools that not only have a CRM, but actually have a website. And I think one of the benefits is some brokerages these days are actually offering these all-in-one tools as part of the package to join their brokerage. So might be a question that you ask is, what is provided? Is it a CRM? Is it a CRM with a website? Because having that website piece that's tied to your IDX, and I'll talk about that here in a second, can be really critical. And what that means is you ultimately have a website that pulls in properties from your MLS so that people can search on it. And when it's tied directly to your CRM, that information gets passed back and forth. So Susie visits your website, she looks at 1234 Main Street on your website, and that information gets passed to your CRM. So you have a contact card in your CRM that says Susie, and you see that she looked at 1234 Main Street. That is really powerful, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of online lead gen. So that might be something you look for. Another feature that's been incorporated to some of these CRMs is actually mass texting or automated texting. So when we think of CRMs, we tend to think of emails, we think of manual follow-up. Well, a lot of these tools are starting to build in more complex drip campaigns. And with those drip campaigns, they've actually started to incorporate text messaging. Text messaging can be a big boost for your business. Email, years ago, used to have a fantastic open rate, but then everyone started to bombard email. Today, that kind of missing piece is text messaging. If you think about when you get a text message, how likely are you to actually respond? In most cases, for most people, a text message, they're going to at the very least look at it and consume it. They're not just going to leave it unread. So text messaging is really popular and is starting to get incorporated into some of these CRMs. So you might want to look for a CRM that not only offers text messaging basically from your computer screen, but maybe some automated text messaging that can get built into some of these drip campaigns. Another new cool feature that is starting to get built out with these CRMs is actually AI bots, right? Mind blown. But a lot of these tools and a lot of these companies are building out artificial intelligence bots that will actually help you follow up with your leads. Again, maybe is not super important if you just have a database of 100 people, but if you're going to be doing a lot of online lead gen, you might look for some additional assistance. And maybe you've even considered hiring an assistant. Well, some of these tools are taking to AI to help you with that. If you think about it, if you were to have an assistant follow up with some of these leads, you probably have the same question over and over again. What are you looking for? How long before you plan on moving? Do you own a home? What kind of home are you looking for? Well, in 2021, an AI can do that. So some of these tools have started to build out these AI bots, and it's starting to get really interesting. Now, with anything new, especially this new frontier of AI, it can be a little clunky in the beginning, but if you can kind of sit through that and stick with it, some of these AI bots are saving people hundreds of hours a month of follow-up. Maybe not hundreds of hours a month, but a lot of time in follow-up because they aren't having to do it themselves and they aren't having to pay an assistant to do it. So guys, those are 3 more advanced CRM features that maybe not a lot of people know about, especially if you're brand new to real estate, that some of these tools are starting to work into their platforms. I'm going to do a longer YouTube video on this in the coming future and talk more in depth about what some of these features are and what I like about them and do I use them, yes or no. But I wanted to just kind of broach the subject of, especially with real estate specific CRMs, you're starting to see some of these more advanced features. And so hopefully this gave you a little taste of that. Drop a comment below if you're watching on YouTube if you actually use a system that has any of these. Do you like the text messaging? Do you like the AI bot? And what does that look like for you? As always, if you enjoyed the content, consider giving it a thumbs up, and I will catch you next time.